Hi, welcome to The Pursuit of Truth. It is the 14th of August 2018, and I'm going to talk about the Westminster, what Sky News is calling the Westminster terror crash. The use of hyperbole there. I guess why they didn't just call it Westminster crash, I don't know, but they had to get the word terror in there because now it's been they're investigating it as a terrorist incident. But my angle, interest on this is it's not like a conspiratorial one. It's just the difference in reporting that I noticed because I was watching Sky News. I used to watch BBC before, but I used to find that Sky News would get things quicker. I don't know why that is, but so I started watching Sky News. So what was interesting from Sky News is they had an interview just now with the Met Office. I don't know who he was. It wasn't Cressida Dick. It was somebody else, and he was, I think, he's a counter-terrorist for the UK. And he was asked two questions at the end by journalists, and they were asking him about, is it true that the police were chasing him at the time? He said no, that he's heard about that, but that wasn't the case. Apparently there was an ambulance that was behind the vehicle, and the other part was asked, is it true that he drove into two police officers? And I don't think he confirmed that. I can't remember now. So I was thinking, okay, Sky News now, they're going to talk about that aspect because they never mentioned anything about that, and they never mentioned anything about police chase or who the targeted individuals were, because they said there were two people that were injured, but it wasn't life-threatening, but they never made out they were police. Obviously they should have known that because their people were at the scene almost instantly, because it's an area where the media is, Sky News are around there. They even had footage of the man when the police get there and they take him out of the car. But then they didn't mention it. So I was thinking, okay, that's a bit weird. Why are they not talking about it? So I Googled BBC News. I Googled Westminster terror crash, and it came up with The Independent, the newspaper. And they had a video that I hadn't seen on Sky News. A video showing from above the moment when the car ploughed into the individuals from way back. So I'm not sure this is what I mean. It's sometimes we're like conspiratorial when we look at the media and we say, oh, they changed their story and this, that and the other, but it seems to be sometimes, I don't know why they don't report all the knowledge they possibly could do, because on BBC News website it already has this video. I think that's actually where The Independent got it. Maybe the BBC owns the video, I don't know. It could be, maybe it's just a BBC video and that's why it's not on Sky, but you'd think they'd still refer to it or ask to use it. But it showed an ambulance behind the vehicle. And the ambulance, it looked a bit like the ambulance tried to cut up the vehicle, but it was very unclear. But then the vehicle turns sharply to a different direction. It goes across a road, a pavement by the looks of it, nearly hits someone, passes through all the way down, and it turns down a road, and then it goes, and it looks like it hits like two policemen, it looked like policemen with visi vests who are manning an area, which is, I assume, the bit into Westminster where he hit the barrier. So the thing from my point of view is it lazy journalism? Is it that they couldn't have access to this? Like, even when the police officer had mentioned it, why they didn't talk about that aspect is, because they never mentioned anything about that, and they never mentioned who the victims were. They never mentioned that he was targeting police, because obviously, if you know the car, because you think, oh, well, maybe it's an accident, but if you're told that, he was being chased and then he veered into two policemen, that does seem more terrorist related. So I'm not sure why they neglected to mention that information, whereas BBC were. So sometimes it depends on who you're watching and at what time. I'm sure, like, if I watch it for a few more hours, eventually they'll start talking about that and they'll start showing those videos. Sometimes I know they don't like showing videos because they don't like showing this graphic reality of the world. But you know, they can blur bits out if they really want to. But I think that, you know, they keep showing us their piece of video of the moment when he's taken out of the car and arrested. But I think that shot of him driving a normal bit of road and then suddenly veering off is the most important piece of footage. So I'm not sure why they're not showing that, but the Independent and the BBC News are. But this is what brings conspiratorial people to these things, when they see differences and they see, you know, they start thinking, oh, why is this and why is that? Maybe that's human nature, isn't it, I guess? Or each different editor of a news agency is going to prioritise different bits of information, and maybe other, like I say, maybe it's owned by the BBC and that's why they can't show it. But you'd think they would have mentioned the fact that veered into what looked like two police officers or people wearing visi vests manning an area. I mean, it did look like, from that view, that it was, you know, wasn't an accident, but it's difficult to tell. Anyway, that's my only take on it. I just thought I'd document that the way that media reports things can make you think, you know, oh, why is this happening, or why they're not reporting that. It's just weird. Anyway, not sure if this really makes any sense, but take care, take it easy, God bless, and peace.